Kenny Dillingham is all of those things that we were looking for when we did our profile and more. And so I am delighted to introduce Ken Dillingham as the new head coach of Arizona State football.
I'm home.
Arizona State found their guy. It's Kenny Dillingham, ASU alumnus, coming back to the Valley to take over the Arizona State football program as the head coach in an emotionally charged introductory press conference today. Nick Borgia here at Devil's Digest alongside me as publisher Howard Urbino. And we got our first chance to listen to Dillingham today. And it's a pretty cliche thing to say that it's important for coaches, players, whoever it is, to really win that first press conference. And I would argue that Dillingham definitely did so today.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. And I know some people may take exception, if you will, the fact that Dillingham was already in tears 5 seconds into his opening statement. But to me, it really was raw emotion. There was nothing fake at all about what you saw with Kenny Dillingham over here. He's a guy that was born and raised in the Valley, an ASU alumnus, was on this ASU football staff up until seven or so years ago. So everything that he said about Sun Devil pride, about state pride, about really rallying the community around him, really has a lot of validity to it. And Kenny Dillingham definitely brings a lot of receipts in that manner. When we were the first ones to report 2 weeks ago that Kenny Dillingham was the prime target for Arizona State's head football coach search, those are exactly the reasons that they were. And when it comes to the support that he received from the boosters, and that's the question that I asked Dillingham in the press conference, it's great that you have University President Dr. Michael Crow, Arizona State Athletic Director Ray Anderson, and other high-level athletic administrators that were part of the search committee, obviously the search firm being behind Kenny Dillingham. But the boosters really giving him an absolutely undeniable level of support. And these are boosters that were sold on the pro model that Ray Anderson tried to present with Herm Edwards, a pro model that absolutely crashed and burned and really has the team right now under NCAA investigation cloud. So the boosters, I thought, really just made sure that their voice is heard. And they knew that the program, that right now, and it's not being overly harsh, is at a real low point, needs somebody who's absolutely committed to bring this program back up to prominence. When you have somebody that truly bleeds maroon and gold, again, it can sound like a cliche, but the passion and the emotion that you saw from Kenny Dillingham was no fluke. There was no act that he was trying to put on. He is somebody that is absolutely entrenched in Arizona State, really throughout most of his career. So I think that for that reason and that reason only, he definitely is the right person for this job. The energy in the room was undeniable. The energy in social media about his hire is undeniable. He may not be the 100% consensus pick of each and every ASU fan, but I think that on its face, a lot of the positive that he brings to the table are definitely elements that are going to be crucial if Arizona State is going to have the turnaround.
And Hode, one of the biggest questions surrounding this program as a whole is recruiting. And as you had just mentioned, Kenny Dillingham, so connected to ASU, born and raised in Arizona. And on top of that, probably one of the highlights of the press conference today, did commit to bringing back Sean Aguano on staff. So with all those things in mind, what do you think this means for the future of recruiting when it comes to Arizona State?
Well, there's no doubt that when he wants the support of the community, he's talking about, and let's be blunt about it, NIL for Arizona State really kicking into levels where you're not only going to lose players like an Eric Gentry or Jaden Daniels, for example, but now you can also attract players that they're going to be in the portal just because you have that NIL force behind you. And I love what Kenny Dillingham said, that he loves the transfer portal because you know what? You can recruit somebody and you can sell them a plethora of lies. And if that player doesn't like that there's no actions behind the words, they're going to leave after a year or maybe after 2 years. So that really just puts more emphasis on coaches being genuine and a player not being trapped for 4 or 5 years just because they don't have the transfer portal. And if they do transfer, they're not going to be immediately eligible. And look, I know the transfer portal is definitely not everybody's cup of tea. And Arizona State, as we know, was really hit with some pretty significant departures. I thought they brought actually quite a few good players through the transfer portal. And now under Kenny Dillingham, I really expect that to happen that much more. You just look at quarterback, and look, I think Trent Bourget did a great job this year, but he needs to have better competition than he has right now at Arizona State. When you look at the success that Kenny Dillingham has had in Oregon with Bo Nix, a quarterback that he coached in Auburn a couple of years ago, if you're a top-rate quarterback in the transfer portal, you're going to give ASU a long and hard look just because of Kenny Dillingham being the head coach. So that I really do like that approach. But make no mistake about it, he's really going to try to navigate the upcoming NCAA sanctions as best as he can. Maybe that makes it harder to recruit high school talent in general, but I think in terms of in-state high school talent, you couldn't ask for a better person than Kenny Dillingham. Obviously, Sean Aguano being retained is going to help a ton. You're going to hear about some upcoming hires in the next couple of days that we already did share with our subscribers for about 2 weeks right now that are only going to enhance the in-state recruiting abilities of Arizona State. That doesn't mean that ASU is going to compromise and really just bring in one recruit after another just because they happen to live in Maricopa County if their talent level is not matching what Arizona State needs. But I really do think that generally in terms of in-state recruiting, I expect those efforts really to kick up a notch. Kenny Dillingham, Sean Aguano, other assistants to be named later are definitely going to have a huge impact and a huge influence in that regard.
So with Dillingham taking over this role, he becomes the youngest Power 5 coach in the entire country. And with all the changes that you've just mentioned, there's just so many things to think about. What are the expectations like for this program moving forward?
I think that Kenny Dillingham is very realistic, knowing that this is going to be a long rebuilding process. I don't think he knows that. I don't think that he ever thinks that he's going to have some kind of magic wand that he can wave and just turn this program on a dime. There definitely is a lot of work to do. And I think the youth is actually something that is an asset for Kenny Dillingham. It's funny because fans for Arizona State say we shouldn't worry about any coach using Arizona State as a stepping stone because that hasn't happened since John Cooper in the mid-'80s. Every coach that leaves Arizona State does not leave on their own terms because they're all fired. But with somebody like Kenny Dillingham, you know that he's committed to building and sustaining success here at Arizona State, and he knows that it's not going to be an overnight mission. I don't mean to really harp on the NCAA sanctions, which are in place right now, maybe be in place sometime in 2023. Those are going to be really treacherous waters to navigate. But Kenny Dillingham, because of his commitment to this program, a program that he knows inside out, because his commitment to the Valley of the Sun, is going to have the patience, is going to have the endurance and the resolve to really see this thing through and not just leave after 4 or 5 years just because Arizona State is now a perennial power in the Pac-12 or whatever conference it will be. That's probably another big TBD out there. But he really wants to have this program, which he said during his press conference, one of the biggest metropolitans in the country, which means that you have people year after year flocking to live here in the Valley of the Sun. Why not finally really capitalize on that? Why not galvanize the local support that really has been sorely missing from this program, not only for years, but really for decades? Some of that Kenny Dillingham at least gives you a chance to capture that local support, which people are always wondering, like, why isn't it there for this program? So that is, to me, really the biggest reason why Kenny Dillingham today has been announced as the new Arizona State football coach. It's going to take time. There's definitely going to be a lot of bumps in the road. But I just feel that the head coach that they have in place, the staff they're going to have in place, is really going to be a group of individuals that are committed to see this thing through. If it takes 2 years, if it takes 4 years, but I personally am confident just because of all the elements that I mentioned, everything that we saw in the press conference, which is going to be on our YouTube channel in just a matter of minutes right now. You're going to see that there's definitely the ingredients that are necessary for the turnaround. Yes, the turnaround still has to happen, but I just think the foundation was laid in a major way today with the introduction of Kenny Dillingham.
All righty, Hode. Well, thank you so much for your insight and for all the news regarding the new coaching changes that are to come and everything else that's going to happen with this Arizona State football team. Keep it locked in at DevilsDigest.com. Also drop a follow at Devils Digest on Twitter. For Hode Urbino and the rest of Devils Digest, my name's Nick Borgia, and we thank you so much for tuning in.